Have you ever driven upstate highways and interstates at night and realized just how dark the roads are? A lack of lighting is not a new problem for South Carolina drivers.
In fact, Fox Carolina did a story about this 7 years ago, and the South Carolina Department of Transportation said they were working to find a solution. And former Governor Nikki Haley even weighed in, saying she had not heard about the visibility issue, but that she would check on it.
As Fox Carolina investigates, Margaret-Ann Carter is looking into what many say is a safety crisis.
Dark highways are an issue that many of us at the station have noticed, and it's something that our viewers are concerned about too. This right here is one of the emails that we received from a viewer. In it, he says, I-85 from 153 to Malden Road. I've been traveling that interstate for over 30 years, and the lights have never worked. It may be, if they work, it would save traffic accidents. It amazes me we don't have technology that can figure out the problems with the lights. Another person wrote in saying they just spent $250 million in 4 years and it's already over capacity. Also, why did they not include any lights in the project? It's pitch black at night.
What we're currently doing right now is going through a relamping process to see if we can get some of it running back. We've asked the interstate lighting to look at a total revamp. There's so many newer systems out there, low-cost systems, such as LED lights, lower power consumption.
That was Eric Dillon, the South Carolina Department of Transportation's head of traffic engineering department in 2016. At the time, he told us the lighting system was 20 years old and the department was just trying to maintain until a decision could be made on a permanent fix. Fast forward 8 years, and most of the lights over I-85 either remain out or are out again. Meanwhile, the SCDOT refuses to comment on when the lights could be fixed, leaving drivers in the upstate in the dark once again.
The roads are really kind of dark. I have a hard time seeing the lanes.
Yeah.
What lane you're in.
Especially out there rain and it's kind of foggy. There's not enough light.
Sheena Sesser-Hare and her husband say that they were just complaining about how dark the highway is when I stopped them at the rest stop to talk.
Right. I mean, that's what I mean, it just makes you more anxious. Yes, that's exactly what we were just saying.
She says it's difficult to merge.
It's dangerous, especially with how sharp some of the turns are when you get off the exits. And there's also narrow shoulders. So you can't see.
Harry Slack is traveling with his 2 young kids and says the lack of lighting is a hazard.
Have someplace that's well lit to at least, get under so people can see, oh, up ahead, even if, if your battery dies, your blinkers don't work. Your emergency flashers don't work if the battery's dead. So now you have to rely on the people's headlights or something. If they could see it under the street lights, then they'd at least have a little bit more time to make corrections.
8 years ago, SCDOT blamed blown fuses, malfunctioning ballasts, and even animals for the faulty lighting.
We're finding out there is having a lot of wires have been cut and severed, and we're trying to track where those cuts are.
But when I reached out to the SCDOT earlier this year to get an update on where they were with the lighting, I was told they were unable to comment on pending litigation. So I spent the next several weeks scouring through hundreds of lawsuits filed against the department until I found Billy Fowler's case.
My client, Billy Fowler, was driving in the median lane going north on I-85 in Greenville. It was particularly dark. The lighting in that area was out, and from what we've since learned, it had been out for at least several months before.
Attorney Patrick Nye says it was here along I-85 between Whitehorse Road exit and Augusta Road exit where his client, Billy Fowler, swerved to avoid hitting another car. His car then came to a rest in the middle of the highway when a tractor trailer slammed into him moments later. In fact, it was 3 years ago today, on April 25th, with conditions just like we're having right now with weather, and it was around 6 o'clock in the morning. And you can see just how dark it is here behind me. That lawsuit argues that these same dark conditions and the lack of interstate lighting here on I-85 is what led to Fowler's accident.
If he could have seen, probably the wreck would have never happened. They didn't have to put the lights there in the first place. But under the South Carolina Tort Claims Act, if you undertake something, it's called discretionary immunity, then you have to do it properly. So they undertook to put lighting out there, and because they did, then they have the continuing obligation to make sure it works.
Nye says Fowler suffered a brain bleed, several broken ribs, and a lacerated spleen. Ruan Transportation, the owner of the tractor trailer that hit Fowler, is also named as a defendant in the lawsuit. I reached out to them for comment, but never heard back. Lighting can reduce crashes with injuries on interstates by 28%. That according to the Federal Highway Administration. A different study by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration ranked South Carolina the 5th deadliest state to drive in at night. It's statistics like these that drivers say need to be addressed before it's too late.
I think it's the little things that don't get the maintenance, and there's not as much squeaky wheels. I mean, if there's big potholes that are ruining semis, tires, and suspensions, they're going to get a lot more calls than, hey, a bulb's out. But maybe it takes 100 bulbs out for them to start taking notice. And hopefully it's before people die because of it.
During my investigation, I also reached out to highway commissioners and the South Carolina Highway Patrol, who all referred me back to SCDOT. I also reached out to Governor Henry McMaster's office to see if he's been made aware of this issue, but have not yet heard back. Of course, it's a story I'll continue to follow up on. Reporting in the studio, Margaret-Ann Carter, Fox Carolina News.